If Rhodes Island were to host a fashion show contest, April would win by a landslide. She is the most fashionable operator on the landship, from having the best drip to the best looking dorm. She's also the only operator to receive a skin on the same day as their launch day. My first impression of April was questioning if Hypergriff was debating whether or not to put her in the specialist archetype or the sniper's archetype. Class confusion aside, does her taste for fashion reflect her skills on the battlefield? Let's see. April is a 5-star anti-air sniper. As the name suggests, she prioritizes air targets over anything else. April is not just an ordinary sniper. She has the capability to redeploy much faster than other snipers. This ability comes from her talent, Experienced Hunter, which reduces her redeployment time by 20 seconds at Elite 2, as well as reducing her DP cost by 1. You can reduce the deployment time by an additional 10 seconds when April is at pot 6. For reference, her normal deployment cooldown is 70 seconds, which is shared among all snipers except Justice Knight, whose cooldown is a whopping 200 seconds. So, April by herself could reduce her deployment all the way to 40 seconds. If that's still too long for you, put Silver Ash in her team and that brings it down to 32 seconds. Again, that's Silver Ash and April, both at Elite 2 pot 6, which is kind of expensive. The same applies in making her cost effective, where you need a lot of investment in April and Elysium to bring down her DP cost significantly. I must say, it's a very unique talent. We all know that fast redeploy is an archetype of its own, but Hypergriff decided to experiment by implementing this as a talent in another class. Does it work? Sort of. Obviously, her redeployment time won't be as fast as of Gravel's or Project Red, but 12 DP is relatively high for a fast redeploy, and this would be difficult to deploy her multiple times in one stage. Skill 1, Precise Shooting, increases April's next shot to 200%. And yes, it is identical to Jessica's Skill 1 as well. This skill is great against squishy enemies because the momentary buff gives an extra punch to her damage, so she can clear a lot of those squishy enemies coming her way. At Mastery 3, the buff gets a little bit bonkers, so you might want to consider that. Overall, it's a simple, straightforward skill, and there's not much else to talk about it. Skill 2, Flexible Camouflage, is April's flagship skill. When deployed, April receives an attack buff and applies camouflage to herself, which means she cannot be attacked by ranged enemies. But she can still take damage from splash damage and environmental hazards. This skill allows you to deploy April behind enemy lines that would otherwise be a pain in the ass to do it with melee operators. Cough cough 6-11. This skill lasts for 20 seconds, and after that, April is pretty much useless. Another strategy that can be used with this skill is what I call an emergency DPS. That is when light enemies, like wraiths, come too close to your blue box, and all you have to do is deploy April to eliminate them quickly. The buff is strong enough to kill them in a few shots. The third strategy you can implement is what I call Frontline Sniper. Basically, April drops in at the beginning of a stage to poke some damage and then retreat. Kinda like Vanguard snipers. These are just a few examples that I can think of after clearing the daily map Blazing Cavern, and I'm sure there are more ways to use this skill. All in all, Flexible Camouflage is great on paper. However, due to April's limitation and her talent, you might see yourself not using this skill as often as you like. April is one of those operators that requires a lot of investment, not only on April herself, but also other operators to unlock her full potential. Think about it. Investing in any pot 6 operators above 4 stars is incredibly expensive, and you also have to pull for Elysium and Silver Ash if you don't have them. On top of that, 5 stars don't have hard pity like 6 stars do, which increases the difficulty. She still works as an ordinary sniper using skill 1, but this eliminates what makes April stand out from the rest. My advice for new players, if you happen to get April from CC7 Joint Operation banner or any other banners, put her aside for now until you have a decent roster and plenty of resources. Once you are in the late game, you can start experimenting with different kinds of strategy using April especially her skill 2. All flaws aside, she looks adorable, and her high investment truly reflects her high spendings on clothing and other miscellaneous stuff. So, what do you think of April? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.